we have here with us finance and life coach, Randell Tiongson. Randell, salamat for being a part of this project.
No, it's really such a worthwhile project.
Yeah.
Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, so what do you think of the book?
Galing, no? It's nice kasi we've been looking for material talaga for children. And a lot of the materials are either hindi bagay sa Filipino mentality or psyche. So, I think it's a very good retelling. No? Now it's easier to understand.
Yes. And talking about kids and learning about money early on, maybe you'd like to share with us your childhood money memory.
Oh, okay. So I grew up from a very entrepreneurial family. Yeah. So we were taught to be able to be a little bit more creative in terms of earning money. Aside from the usual, getting your baon, but if you wanted to have extra, my parents were kind of encouraging us to be a little bit more business-minded. I remember as a child, I wanted to buy my own aquarium, no?
Okay. How old were you at the time?
I think I was about grade 4 or something like that. I wanted to have an aquarium. Well, I had an aquarium before in the basag, no? So I wanted to buy a new one. And I've been, really wanted to keep that aquarium. But my parents insisted that I could find a way to be able to do it, my savings. But nainip ako kasi, when you save the money and then, I remember summer pa, you don't get that much baon.
Yes,
and then you end up spending it. So nainip ako. So what I did is I put up a club with my cousins.
Okay.
Put up a club. It's called LAF, Learning About Fishes.
Wow.
So I wrote in a letter, I wrote that this club, ano yung objectives ng club, why we do it, and we have to raise monies.
Okay.
So every time there's a party or gathering, I would show that letter to my titos and older cousins, and they found it very novel. Tuwan-tuwa sila sa idea that in a very short period of time, I was able to raise enough money to be able to come up with the aquarium.
Oh.
So with my cousins, we were able to buy it, and then from then I would go report to my uncles what
your funders.
Yeah, kung ano nangyayari sa aquarium, what I've learned so far. I think that was the earliest memory of me trying to be able to be a little bit more smart with money.
Yes.
My high school, I had to find other ways kasi my parents we're 7 in the family.
Okay, and you're
I'm the 6th.
Okay.
So syempre, the money was there, but it's not supposed to be. It has to be allocated wisely, with 7 brothers and sisters. So in high school, I learned how to make extra money.
Yes.
I was into photography, so I would do extra shoots, and then we get paid.
And your clients were?
Clients were other friends, friends. And then remember high school, we were part of a mobile. I get a share.
Disco.
Yeah, no, I got a share. Yeah.
So were you a DJ?
No, I did. I was more like helping out and getting clients.
Right.
Marketing.
Okay. So you were really on that side.
On that side, and then in college, ganun pa din. We have to be a little bit more creative because the need for money becomes higher in college, no. And
it doesn't stop actually.
And my parents baon were just tama-tama na eksakto. So I can't save enough, and that's the problem. So I had to be a little bit more creative to increase the cash flow. And I helped in the schools. I helped raise funds for the organizations.
Okay, so that's where you honed.
I honed everything. So my fundraising we were talking to them, raising funds, and so forth. Booth fairs. And since I learned how to cook, I know how to make money out of the food in college.
Really?
And in college, before
I want to taste your baked salmon.
And in college, before I graduated, I learned how to, my first chance to produce a mini concert.
Really? Whose concert was it?
Ding Dong Avensado.
Oh!
This is in the late 80s.
Nasa lista kasi.
Ding Dong, we put him in a small bar and put him. Kasi nung college, one of the fundraisers that I did for the JPS, Junior Philippine Economic Society, was to launch his concert, and si Ogie Alcacid was the front act at that time.
Oh, so Ding Dong
Regine was ahead by a year, I think, or a few months. Then si Ogie was the front act, and then si Regine was the guest.
Wow.
So small world.
And so look where they are now.
Look where they are. That's why they always remember.
So you are a part of the career.
So I've always been very entrepreneurial about those things. Even after college, when I started to work for a bank, the salary was not big enough.
I was going to go there to the career that you pursued.
So I went to the bank first. The salary was not enough. My salary was very low. Syempre, entry position, a little bit better than minimum lang, or if not minimum. Of course, there's a lot of expenses.
What particular department were you with?
I was with account management. I was with credit for PCI Bank.
Yes.
So PCI Bank, 88. Although I was management trainee, but the salary wasn't really that much better, no. So I had to learn. I was producing also concerts
While you were
while you
working.
were I was working. So they knew me as a very entrepreneurial person. Kaya nga nung nag-resign na ako, my boss knew, you're really for out there.
Yes. He
And
wasn't surprised at
I wasn't
all.
surprised at all. He knew that I was not going to stay in the bank
Uh-huh.
very long. So very entrepreneurial until, I put up a business with my girlfriend then, si Via, because she's an interior designer. She's very entrepreneurial too. So we wanted to come up with our own business. So I left the bank, focused on the business, but at the same time, tried out other things. So I was teaching. I was I understand that income has to come from not just one source.
Yeah.
So early on, I realized that
Multiple sources.
multiple sources of income is always best for you. I think that's what I got from my parents, who are very entrepreneurial. They're not finance people, but they're
Entrepreneurial.
very, very. My whole family is entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So yun na pick up ko. Multiple lines, seasons change, and all these things. Then, the business failed, and I'm not really cut for that. I'm not.
The interior design.
Because I'm not an architect. I'm not an engineer. I didn't like the business.
That's the second law of money, which is in the book, huh?
Yeah.
Get into your core competence.
It's hard eh. Kasi at that time you were young, I was just following money eh.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is, I mean, it was a good thing I was very young at that time.
You had
Although we
time
got
to make
married na.
mistakes, uh-huh.
We made money naman kasi. That's why we thought it was a good idea because we made money in the onset. In fact, made so much money that it allowed us to get married. So, doon ko kinuha yung pangkasal ko.
Oh,
so,
good for
but
you.
Things did not turn out to be very good
Later on.
Oo, because I remember in the 90s, the economy was really bad. Brownouts were happening. So
Every day.
those were the challenges. So I lost money. I got into debt from the business. They realized, the funny thing arose as we were into interior construction, furniture. I was allergic to paint fumes. I was allergic to sawdust. All of those things I was fish out of water. And my love was for entrepreneur, for finance, for investments. Yun yung love ko talaga eh. So then, one of my client was working for Sun Life. Sabi niya, I think Randell, you're more bagay dito. So she asked me to join Sun Life. Ako naman on the onset, as an agent. Kami ng wife ko. At that time, my only reason why going to Sun Life was to create enough capital to bail out my business. Yun
Okay.
But as I learn about these things, I realized that this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And actually close the business.
Oh,
Close the business and focus on that's where my love for financial
So
services
it was
happened.
more accidental pala.
More accidental than anything. I think most of the things in life are really
Yes.
accidental.
You just have to be very
You never
aware
really
what's
thought.
happening to you, ano?
Oo. I guess at that time, I probably, when I had in hindsight, I probably should not have left the bank. But it would have, siguro, nalipat din naman ako in another step.
Yeah.
Kasi it's where in the life insurance where I realized financial education was important.
So that was your turning point.
That was my turning point.
Now, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
While you sell products, you are
I
also
wanted to educate because you cannot sell without educating. I rebelled against the fact that most people were just selling using relationships.
Yes.
Ako, I really wanted to teach. I was young then eh.
Yeah.
So I wanted to reach out to younger people. And the younger people wanted more information. They wanted more than what's offered.
How old were you when you did that?
26.
The Sun Life thing?
Yeah.
So that was
I was as early as right after college, I was working and then so forth and so on. Walang lal yan eh.
So from being a Sun Life agent,
then I got into management of the company. I stayed a long time in the life insurance industry on different facets.
Okay.
From sales to sales management to training. So
but were you a regular employee or you were?
I started as an agency, as an agent. And then I was asked by the GM at that time, si Esther Tan, who became the president, to join Mancom. So she pulled me out. She was looking for
Mancom of Sun Life?
Mancom. I was 29 years old
Wow.
when I joined that, so very young.
That's great, huh?
So they asked me to develop the area of Luzon. So that's where my so
when you say develop the area of Luzon,
for Sun Life, put up offices, recruit people.
Okay.
I opened 5 branches for them. At that time, there were no presence of Sun Life in the provinces. So what I did, very small presence, what I did is really expanded it. Which became, for last 5 to 7 years, yun lang ang branches nila until they started to open up more. So we paved way to the expansion of the company early on there. So I had
This
to,
was in the 90s, am I right?
it was 1997.
Yeah, towards the end.
Towards the end. So 1997, we were expanding. I opened up Tarlac, Olongapo, Pangasinan, Isabela. We were going to all those places. Just me and initially my assistant was Paulo TV.
That's how you met.
And then after nun, si Joseph to, so he became a pastor naman. So I had a very good team naman eh.
Oh.
Very lean but good team.
And then when did you leave the management of?
I went back because I got tired of traveling.
So you had to be based in the provinces,
No, I'm based in Manila but I had to travel extensively. So
that's right.
4 days a week I was out.
And you were already married.
Yeah, and the children were growing up. Sila Billy and Gabby were,
Your
kids.
girls were growing
Yeah,
up.
they were 4 or 5 years old, and I felt that I owe it to them to be able to be more at home.
Yeah.
So what I did is I resigned from my position and asked to be reinstated back to
Being an agent.
agency.
So
This time I was a unit manager. So they asked me to run my unit. Pinayagan naman ako. So I stayed there for quite some time. So then I got asked to move. I went back to corporate again. This time with Generali and BDO.
Okay.
So this was in the 2005 na.
Yeah.
So I did agency and then later on bank assurance. So that was my last
Corporate
stint na.
And
Before I
this was
decided to go.
in 2000.
1995 to 1999.
Oh, no. But
Sorry,
you said
2005 to 2009. Sorry.
2005 to 2009.
Beginning of 2009.
And that's when you really started to be very active in your...
I was active, actually, I was already active with, pero normally I'm just around insurance industries. So I was being invited to other branches, and then later on other companies, and then later on to the conferences. So parang ganon, they always wanted to, because at that time I was pushing for financial planning, and nobody was doing it, nobody was advocating it. So ako, I saw that financial planning is the way to do it. So I really got into that. That created who I am. That created my reputation in the industry as the financial planner guy. Years after, I will talk to people telling them that sa akin nila unang narinig. They got exposed to financial calculator because of me. I don't remember all those things, pero
and I'm sure that's the one that's really it's your gasoline. That's the thing that.
And that's why in 2005 we co-established the RFP, which really changed the whole thing.
2005.
2005.
Of which you are director.
Yes, I'm the director. So parang co-founder and so forth. So it became a fuel for me to go on.
Yes.
And you saw the evolution. Products change. You remember in the 1990s, in the early 2000s, fixed income lang naman lahat eh. Di ba?
CPF.
Di ba? CPF. Tsaka yung laman niya, pag tinignan mo, fixed income talaga.
Very few people were
it was just the bonds environment. Very few in the stock market. And very few were open to things like UITF and the mutual funds.
Yes, it was actually it had its birthing pains.
Yeah. Wala pang VULs at that time. I mean, VULs were coming in. So things were very different. We were coming from a very guaranteed environment, and the guarantees were not bad. I mean, you'll get 10%, 12%.
During the day, double your money in 5 years.
It was very difficult.
The transition now.
The new economy when it was coming in, a more global environment. It became more and more. So which is just right that I was there. I was a proponent. I was an advocate, and so forth. That got me to be invited. I was still in corporate when I got my first column in the newspaper. I remember there was a new president who came in, and he was surprised that one of his officers is a columnist.
Oh, really?
Sabi niya, what newspaper? So I showed him the newspaper. Oh, that's like a real newspaper.
It's the real thing.
It's
That's why. Happy to hear that.
Yes, of course, I got into a lot of concerns for compliance because I couldn't really write that much. I had to clear with marketing what I have to say. So that became very difficult for me.
Yes. So now that you're not really.
I realized that at the end of 2008, subprime. When subprime came, I thought that was my cue to be independent. Because I know, although we were happy that very few Filipinos were affected, but sabi ko, had this happened in a different environment,
when the credit was...
So I felt that financial education was really needed. Because we saw that it was lacking, not just in the lower class, but even in the middle, in the upper class. Kasi you see people na mayaman naman, but don't know how to spend and they don't have to invest. I mean, you
That's
see
right,
that
that's
happening. Malakas lang kumita, that's why they get out of it. No? But we saw that there's a need for it. So, in 2008, I resigned. Hindi nga ako pinayagan for 4 months. So that's why nag-transcend siya ng 2009 eh.
Ganon.
So, but I was already very out. Kasi at that time, I was being interviewed by the newspapers, TV, all these things. So there was a clamor for it. Very few people can explain what's going on. Very few people can relate to the mass crowd now
Yes, and
about
I think
finances.
that's one of your.
I think I was one of the gifts that the Lord.
Yeah, you can make people laugh while they learn from you.
Simplify complex.
That's right.
Simplify complex ideas for them. I'm big on this whole foundational thing. The fundamentals needs to be right.
Yes.
But
right at the heart
beginning.
of the home.
Yeah. But it has to be done in a way that you can communicate. I tell a lot of finance people is, the more you want to sound bright, the more you sound dumb. Kasi people will not connect with you. People will not understand what you're doing. So
when people feel dumb listening to you, then you're not really getting your message across.
And a lot of people felt that I was dumbing it down or everything. Or some people think that I don't know
what you're talking about.
Which
they feel it's oversimplified.
Yeah, that's why I always have if you notice, I've mentored a lot of people also into the speaking circuit.
Yeah.
And you will see their style. They're very animated. They're very
patawa. Ako naman ang iniisip ko, if you can explain it to a 7-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you really understand what you're talking about.
Really concept that we want, and especially now that financial literacy is really low. And here you are coming in with all your graphs and computations and all your jargons, and it's not gonna work for a lot of Filipinos. So it's sayang opportunity, and they need to learn from the experts.
Yes.
That's why we put all the experts together. Basta ako naman yung role ko, yung expert, yung tama yung heart, yung gusto talaga niya magturo lang. Okay, let's part of it. Money is secondary to all of these things.
It's a bonus lang.
It's bonus lang talaga. We want to do it, and I'm happy to see more and more Filipinos are trying to educate people.
Yeah.
Thanks to Facebook, thanks to all of these things. Ang dami-dami ng changes. You're like a celebrity to them. So
Naaliw. So how do you bring this down onto your family, teaching it to your children?
Sa family naman, it's all about mirroring. It's all about them seeing you. And you notice as a parent, lectures don't work to children. They have to see it in us.
For my last question, Randell, it's some sort of a beauty queen question. Knowing what you know now, how would you solve the poverty problem in the country?
Education talaga. The only way to do it.
I'm gonna ask you pala for top 3 things that you will.
Number one is
really
education talaga, because poverty is existent, but there's really a lot of the OFW is really changing the paradigm of everything. The amount of remittances. We're gonna breach $24 billion now, so that's a lot. So you see that's the impact, no? So that's one. The ability for that. So education is very important. How to earn, how to spend, and so forth. Second, siguro, education on the side of, we need a lot of. I was just talking to Dr. Alvin Ang, and he said that there's a lot of employment opportunities there, except that they're not qualified.
Really?
So meron din tayong education in terms of, I think technical and stuff like that. So I'm happy with that K-12 thing, because we want to be able to improve the education. So there's a mismatch, and it's what we teach. It's not just going to school, it's what is being taught in schools.
Yeah, the content.
Content in the context. Kasi pwedeng hindi, in the corporate world, I would hire people, and a lot of people can't even write a decent essay. And they came from big schools. They came from, you'll see it was ang hirap, reading their essays is like deciphering some codes.
Because of the text generation.
It's the way they are. They don't know how to communicate. You see a lot of children, they don't know how to express their own ideas, and especially to older people. So those were context. So education, financial education, and education. And I guess siguro what is important is generation of the right employment talaga. Kasi one of the problems is we still need, of course the quality is bad, in terms of the labor, but we still have to have better employment opportunities, so that they don't have to leave, so that there's countryside development is very important. They don't have to go to Metro Manila to get a job.
Yes.
So I'm happy to see BPOs opening up in
Big
Iloilo,
provinces.
in Dumaguete. Those are important. So I think that's
So the matching actually,
the
of the
matching.
job and the training
because
that's
hindi mo
needed.
pwedeng tanggalin yan, negosyo yan talaga. See, the economy needs to be very self-sustaining. And the economy is growing. The question is how do we trickle down the benefits of the economy? How can it be inclusive? And that's the only way to do poverty, to battle poverty, is to generate enough job, to generate enough opportunities for them. Hindi siya pwedeng, we know, we've done this, donuts don't work.
Yes.
We've been doing it for many
Yes.
decades now, no? They don't work. So we have to be able to find ways to generate more employment and the right matching. Countryside, how to do it. Introduction of agricultural technology to agribusiness, and stuff like that. Kasi marami pa rin tayong farmers, agri, na talagang-
But you're optimistic.
I am.
Yeah.
Because now, kasi before, now I am, because I know the economy is growing.
Correct.
Kasi before, no amount of all of these things will happen if there's not enough money coming in. But we've seen it. In 2000, money supply was only a little over 1 trillion pesos. As of end of last year, lampas 6 trillion na . So there's money.
Huge growth.
There's a huge growth. There's a huge opportunity for
You have to
us.
seize the moment.
You have to, but it has to be done that way. So, it's a private public partnerships that really will work. How to be able to generate. There's enough buzz on social entrepreneurship. So all of these things will work. Tourism is just about we've not really tapped a lot. So that, again, that's gonna help us. So ang dami pwedeng gawin. Agriculture needs to. There has to be some form of massive introduction of agricultural technology to agriculture to make it really more worth their time and effort. Kasi most of our farmers are in the low cash crops.
Yes.
Like copra, rice, and stuff. So, want to introduce other things for them that we can actually
For higher
grow.
yield.
For higher yield. We have very fertile soils. We have a good temperate weather and stuff like that. We have to start doing those things.
Okay. So, maraming salamat ulit,
Thank you.
Randell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.